Hey, Mrparka here to review one from Brain Damage Films. This is called Creeping, Crawling. And I had not heard one thing about this movie. I had no clue what it was going to be like. So I put it in and I found out it was a horror anthology, 3 stories all involving insects. The wraparound story follows these 2 college kids going to this strange Czechoslovakian doctor, entomologist, you guys know what I mean, but to ask him questions to get their paper completed. Essentially, this one is a moron who really isn't helping at all, and one's really a very serious girl that wants to get it done. The doctor proceeds to tell them 3 really creepy and weird and disgusting stories that are not going to help them write their paper at all. And actually, the film is all 3 of the stories are fairly nasty and gross, but the one that really takes the cake is the final one. The first story involves a model who has a major eating disorder with flashbacks. And thing you find this out that her dad would always like count what she ate, not let her count what she ate, not let her eat certain things, and it really messes her up. So she keeps like gaining weight. She doesn't know why. She does pig out a lot, but she exercises a lot, like an anorexia type deal. And so her friend tells her about getting a tapeworm from they import these tapeworms, so they don't have to worry about what they eat. So she starts to lose weight, of course, but she finds out some more information about it. And she's already psychologically damaged, but at the end there is a giant, not necessarily a giant tapeworm, but a nasty scene with a tapeworm at the end. And she will not be the same after that at all, psychologically, for sure. Don't want to give too much away. This one is okay. Actually it has the cheap psychic scene where it's like, we're going to go find out our psychic, and then he tells her a bunch of things, and it was kind of like they wrote themselves in the corner, like, how's she going to find out, God damn it, about this certain thing in the film? Well, have her go to a psychic. There we go. It's not horrible. It's not the best one of the bunch, but it's passable, and it has some, it's actually kind of mean-spirited, this one, to be honest. The second one is really bizarre. It follows this woman who is trying to be a nurse, and her roommate was a nurse, and she dies. So she's digging through her things, and she finds this chance to go to for a registered nurse to make $2,500 in a 2-week period, taking care of somebody who's paralyzed from their neck down. Basically, essentially, their brain's the only thing that works. It's a young man, and his mother wants to leave town for a couple weeks and go to out of town to what is it, a Lord of the Rings, I believe, thing. So she shows up and she completely lies. She says she's this dead person, and she has some psychological problems of her own. She keeps imagining all these bugs everywhere attacking her. You pretty much don't know if they're actually there or not. But she's also having a lot of these fantasies, so I can only assume that the bugs are not actually there, because she's having these weird drawn-out fantasies with the crippled guy saying that she wants to save him and she has some sexual attraction towards him. I don't want to give away the ending, but she completely goes ballistic and nuts, and that's all I'm going to go to that detail. This one's okay as well. And the final story, like I said, the final story is great. I've caught myself bursting out laughing twice out loud and by myself. I typically don't laugh by myself. And I mean, it's always much more easy to laugh when you're with a group of people. But this time I actually was laughing completely by myself. I was bursting out laughing at least 2 or 3 times. And this third one, which is completely bizarre. There's this mild-mannered man who's not having any luck with the women. He works as a telemarketer, answering phones, and his boss and all these people are always trying to get him dates. So one girl thinks he's a psychopath because there's a murderer going around at the same time. But what happens is this guy has this thing that stemmed from his childhood. You know how it's kind of weird, but you know, people have their certain fetishes, and it always seems to stem from them when they were a child. Like, well, the foot fetish or something. Let's say somebody like saw this old magazine a long time ago, and they always were looking at that magazine. So there's a Stephen King story that's very bizarre that goes into the fact that this person saw this one really nasty, gross sexual thing, and every time before they ejaculated, they thought of that. And this kind of reminds me of that whole idea that your early childhood sexual things that happen in that really affect your sexual preferences and fetishes later on as you get older. And this movie, this short in here, kind of tackles that in a really comical way, a dark comedy way. This guy essentially had found a dirty magazine and he put it outside under some weeds and things. And over time he was always looking through this magazine, sexually attracted to all the things in the magazine. And over time, being outside, he started collecting bugs like centipedes, worms, things like that. So he automatically associates the sexual fantasies with insects. So he has an insect fetish. So you can only imagine how hard it is to find a woman who, or anybody who would be involved with an insect fetish. But eventually there's a twist to the story. It's kind of obvious what's going to happen at the end, but there's just some really great scenes in here. The first time you see the actual way he pleasures himself, I was just like, oh, wow, wow. And I actually burst out laughing. And there's a scene where he has a date and he's talking. And he's like, what's in the bag? He's like, you might not get to find out. Well, I made dinner, and I got boxed wine. Good vintage, too. Last month. And the girl's like, you had me at boxed wine. That also cracked me up. I just mean, this is a wild, weird movie. And the last story is darkly comical, but really gross at the same time. The second story is just kind of bizarre. The first two stories are both kind of bizarre. The first one's pretty mean-spirited. The second one's kind of like this reality blending with fantasy type deal, and the third one is just the best of the bunch, and it's actually a really great short in here. I really enjoy the acting and the stupid silly comedy and things like in there. But yeah, I would check this one out if you can, if you see it to rent or something like that. Creeping, Crawling. I mean, I hadn't heard anything about it, so I was pleasantly surprised with what I got. I enjoyed it. I would give it the thumbs up. Nice little fun anthology. I'm a big fan of anthologies myself. I love them. Like I said, got 3 to 5 ways to make me happy. The wraparound story is also pretty funny. The character of Doug is a goofy guy, kind of funny guy. But I'm Mr. Parka. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.